The coffee cup trembled in Marcus Chen's hand as he stared across the dimly lit cafe, his breath catching in his throat. The woman walking toward him had Sarah's smile, that same gentle curve of the lips, the way her eyes crinkled at the corners. For 3 years, he'd avoided this moment, convinced that dating again would betray the memory of his late wife. But his 7-year-old daughter Emma had found his dating app profile half-finished on his laptop and begged him with tear-filled eyes, "Daddy, Mommy wouldn't want you to be sad forever." Now, watching this stranger approach, Marcus felt like he was seeing a ghost. "Marcus. Hi, I'm Rachel." Her voice was different, warmer, with a slight rasp that Sarah never had. But those eyes, that cascading auburn hair, the delicate way she tucked a strand behind her ear, it was uncanny. Marcus stood abruptly, knocking his spoon to the floor with a clatter that made nearby patrons glance over. "I'm sorry, he bent to retrieve it, grateful for a moment to compose himself. "Yes, hi, Rachel. Nice to meet you." They settled into their seats, and Rachel ordered a chamomile tea while Marcus gripped his coffee like a lifeline. She worked as a pediatric nurse, she explained, and had moved to Portland 6 months ago after her own divorce. She loved hiking, terrible reality TV shows, and had a rescue cat named Professor Whiskers. She was charming and easy to talk to, and with every passing minute, Marcus felt more guilty for the comparison he couldn't stop making. "So your profile mentioned you have a daughter?" Rachel asked, her face brightening. "Emma. She's 7. Smart as a whip and twice as stubborn." Marcus pulled out his phone, showing Rachel his lock screen, Emma grinning gap-toothed in her soccer uniform, holding up a participation trophy like she'd won the World Cup. Rachel's expression shifted, softening into something that looked almost like pain. "She's beautiful. She has your eyes. She has her mother's everything else," Marcus said quietly, then immediately regretted it. "Sorry, that was." "No, it's okay." Rachel reached across the table, stopping just short of touching his hand. "Your profile mentioned you were widowed. I'm so sorry. How long has it been?" 3 years, 2 months, 14 days. The precision of it surprised even Marcus. "Car accident. Black ice." She was coming home from her sister's place. The cafe suddenly felt too warm, too crowded. Marcus stood again. "I need some air. Would you mind?" "Of course." Rachel grabbed her coat. "I'll come with you." They stepped into the crisp October evening, the sidewalk slick with fallen leaves. Marcus walked without direction, hands shoved deep in his pockets, while Rachel kept pace beside him in understanding silence. They'd gone nearly 2 blocks when Rachel finally spoke. "You don't have to explain, you know. I look like her, don't I?" Marcus stopped walking. The streetlight above them flickered, casting shadows across Rachel's face, and for a moment the resemblance was so strong he had to look away. "I'm sorry. This isn't fair to you. My ex-husband told me I'd never be enough," Rachel said, her voice steady but sad. "That I was too ordinary, too boring, too plain. For 2 years I believed him. So trust me, Marcus, I understand what it's like to be haunted by ghosts." She pulled her coat tighter. "But here's the thing, I also know I'm not her. I'm not Sarah. I never will be." The sound of his late wife's name from this stranger's lips should have felt wrong, but somehow it didn't. "How did you? Your phone case. There's a photo tucked in the back. I saw it when you showed me Emma's picture." Rachel's eyes were kind, lacking any trace of judgment. "She was gorgeous. And I bet she was extraordinary." "She was." Marcus felt tears pricking his eyes. "She made everyone around her better just by existing. When she died, I didn't know how to keep going. Emma was only 4. Some mornings I'd wake up and forget Sarah was gone, and then I'd remember and the grief would hit me all over again like a tsunami." They'd reached a small neighborhood park, empty except for the swing sets swaying gently in the breeze. Rachel walked over and sat on one, her feet dragging through the wood chips below. "Can I tell you something? My divorce was finalized on my daughter's birthday." Marcus's head snapped up. "You have a daughter?" Rachel nodded, pushing herself into a gentle swing. "Lily. She's 8. But she lives with her father in Chicago. He got primary custody because I worked nights, and the judge thought stability mattered more than the fact that I was the one who'd been there for every nightmare, every scraped knee, every bad day at school." Her voice cracked. "I get her for 6 weeks in summer and alternating holidays." 6 weeks, Marcus. I moved to Portland because staying in Chicago meant driving past the house where she lives without me every single day. Marcus sat on the swing beside her, the chains creaking under his weight. God, Rachel, I'm so sorry. The point is, she continued, we're both carrying around these massive, invisible weights. Different shapes, different sizes, but heavy all the same. And maybe I was wrong to swipe right on your profile. Maybe you weren't ready, and I projected my own loneliness onto 3 paragraphs and a nice smile. But I don't think tonight was a mistake. How can you say that? I've been a terrible date. Rachel laughed, and the sound was like wind chimes. You've been honest. That's rarer than you'd think. She stopped swinging and turned to face him. I'm not looking for someone to fix me, Marcus. And I don't think you need fixing either. But maybe we could be friends. Friends who understand what it's like to love people we can't have anymore. Something in Marcus's chest, something that had been clenched tight for 3 years, began to loosen. Emma's been asking me to teach her to ride a bike. Sarah was going to do it, but then, he swallowed hard. I've been putting it off because it feels like this huge milestone I should be sharing with Sarah, you know. But Emma deserves to learn, even if her mom can't be there. Maybe I could help, Rachel offered tentatively. Not as a date, just as someone who misses teaching her own kid things. I taught Lily to ride a bike in a Walgreens parking lot at 6 in the morning because those were the only hours I had free between shifts. Marcus found himself smiling for the first time all evening. That's the saddest and sweetest thing I've ever heard. Welcome to parenthood, Rachel said with a theatrical sigh. They sat there on those swings for another hour, talking about their children, their losses, their tiny everyday struggles that felt too mundane to share with most people but somehow felt vital with each other. Rachel told him about Lily's obsession with astronomy and her dream of being an astronaut. Marcus described Emma's elaborate fairy houses and her conviction that vegetables were a government conspiracy. When they finally walked back to the cafe to retrieve their cars, the moon had risen full and bright above the city. Marcus paused before getting into his sedan. Thank you, he said. For understanding. For being patient with me. Rachel smiled, her own smile now, not Sarah's. Text me when you're ready for that bike riding lesson. And Marcus, you're allowed to be happy again. Sarah would want that. I never met her, but I'm sure of it. Marcus drove home with tears streaming down his face, but they weren't entirely sad tears. Anymore. He found Emma asleep on the couch, his sister-in-law watching TV with the volume low. How'd it go? She whispered. Marcus looked at his daughter, her small chest rising and falling with peaceful breaths, and thought about Rachel's daughter sleeping in Chicago. He thought about loss and love and the strange ways life brings people together. It was a disaster, he said softly. But maybe the good kind. 3 weeks later, Emma wobbled down the sidewalk on her purple bicycle, Rachel jogging beside her with one hand hovering protectively near the seat, while Marcus shouted encouragement and took approximately 400 photos. When Emma finally pedaled on her own for 10 triumphant seconds before tipping into the grass, all 3 of them cheered like she'd won Olympic gold. That evening, Marcus tucked Emma into bed, and she looked up at him with Sarah's eyes. Daddy, is Miss Rachel going to be my new mommy? Marcus smoothed her hair back. No, sweetheart, nobody will ever replace your mommy. But Miss Rachel might become our friend. Would that be okay? Emma considered this seriously. Will she teach me more stuff? Probably. Okay then. I like her. She's nice. And she doesn't look sad like you sometimes do. After Emma fell asleep, Marcus texted Rachel a photo of Emma's triumphant ride. She responded with a video of Lily on FaceTime, celebrating her Oregon friend's achievement with elaborate congratulations. Marcus realized then that healing didn't mean forgetting. It meant making room in your broken heart for new people who understood that some pieces would always be missing, and loved you anyway, sharp edges and all. Sarah would never come back. But maybe, somehow, life could still move forward. And for the first time in 3 years, 2 months, and 35 days, that thought didn't terrify him. It felt like hope.